Okay, we won't actually run it for another 10 minutes. Hello everyone and welcome to the real April 2025 roadmap. I can see so many of you in the chat that have been either loving the last 10-minute countdown or absolutely despising it. But we're here for the real roadmap. Um, Now, just before we get started, I'm going to do a quick introduction to both of us on stream. But audio check, let us know if our mics are too loud, or too quiet, but it does help. But I'm joined today by the fabulous Mr. Matt Huddleston, the executive producer of Trains here at Dovetail Games.
Hello, thanks, Alex. I kind of just say, for that intro, you're a star.
Oh,
It's almost as good as the events of the 3rd of July 2003. It's amazing.
right, I promise. It's no longer April Fools anymore. It's and just for those interested, this happened to be the first Tuesday of the month. I mean, we couldn't not do the roadmap today. It had to be today. So, anyway, welcome to the roadmap. The mics sound good. Everyone really loved that intro, which seems wonderful. Yeah, we're gonna run through everything that's happened since March. And we're going to talk about all the new exciting stuff coming in April for Train Sim World. So let's really go into it. I think first things first, it's always useful to start and talk a little bit about how this roadmap stream works. For anyone new here that's joined us on Train Sim World or joining us on the stream for the first time, we're going to summarize everything from March and through April. We're going to talk about some of the new things coming in more detail. We're going to get some insights from Matt from a development point of view, and then talk about some community things from my side as well. There is a link to the roadmap in the YouTube video description as well. You can find it on the forums. You can find it on our website too. There's also a link to one of the liveries I made for the roadmap as a bit of a joke as well. So if you're looking for some fun on a Class 66, why not check that out too? But let's talk about an absolutely tremendous March that we've just had. We released so many cool new add-ons. We've had the Mildmay line that kickstarted the month. We had Cardiff City Network. We've had the Thomas and Friends add-on, which obviously was working with Mattel, which was fantastic. And then we've had a recent amazing route exploring the Netherlands for the first time in Zwolle-Groningen. And even just at the end of the month, just yesterday, we released a Train Sim World VR New York for the MetaQuest platform. So it's been just a phenomenal month. There's been new announcements, there's been different sales across various platforms. We kind of bundled it up into a little bit of our springtime sprint is what we called it. But we hope it's been a really exciting time to be involved in Train Sim World. Well, we've got loads of exciting stuff more to share in this roadmap. So let's dive into it. Matt, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Here we go. So we've got the graphic here, and this is the real one again. There's no more April Fool's trickery. We did share some loads of jokes earlier, but this is the real roadmap graphic, and as you can see here, there's been some changes. There's been more additions as well that have been announced. In our coming soon section, we've got a set of both German and UK routes. We've got Frankfurt S-bahn, the Cargo Line Volume 3, the Cargo Line Volume 4, the Military Pack. Volume 3 is the Intermodal Pack. Both of these are from Skyhook Games. We've got the East Coast Mainline Diesel Railtour Pack from Athena Simulation, and as well as a brand new announcement in the BR194 and E94 Railtour Pack from TSG, which is really exciting, and we'll talk about everything that comes with later today. A little bit further down the tracks, this is our way of saying this content is coming soon. We're not going to put a release date or a timeline on it yet, but you can expect it soon. And that is a new announcement for the Transport for Wales Class 142 Pacer from Just Trains, as well as a range of other add-ons that have been on our roadmap for a little bit of time now, but that's the DBBR 420 from TSG, the Class 86 from Just Trains, the Tadami line, which is going to be the first Train Sim World route in Japan from Union Workshop, the Santa Fe gameplay pack from High Iron Sim, and Manchester Airport Commuter coming from the Alan Thompson simulation team as well. In our improvements category, we've still got the Great Western Express Remaster and Cologne Arc and timetable update on the way, and announced new today, so there should be a new stick on here. But the Mildmay line will be getting an extension to Richmond. And again, we'll talk about all those details as we go through tonight. But if you want to find more out, you can just, you can give yourself the spoilers. You can jump ahead and read the article if you like. And there's a little bit of more of a conversation with the developer Johannes from Incredible Trains for the Mildmay line. And there's much more finer details that you can get on the article that may not be on the stream tonight. But we'll at least cover everything coming up. That pretty much gives us the opening start. Now we're going to dive into some of the more specific things, and I want to start with some of the images for Frankfurt S-bahn. We actually announced this fully last month in March, but if I go onto my selection of images here, I'm going to pause it quickly because this is the route map we shared, but there's been a slight amendment to it. And so obviously, if you've not heard about Frankfurt S-bahn, this is a new first-party German route coming soon. It represents the S1, the S8, and the S9 lines out of the S-bahn Rhine-Main network. It covers about 80 kilometers, and it has a total of 25 stations. But did I say 25? Well, actually, today we announced that there will be 26 stations because the Frankfurt Flughafen long distance train station has been included. Again, apologies on any pronunciations there. I didn't try to run that one. There's basically been a phenomenal range of community feedback since when we first announced Frankfurt S-bahn back in March's roadmap. And well, thankfully, we've decided to include that branch, that new station in, and it will serve long distance trains. And it will actually make it one of the most frequently long distance train stations in Germany. It opens up new types of gameplay that you'll be able to explore with IC3 services to Frankfurt HBF, IC1 services between Frankfurt and Mainz. As both of those, you'll need the Kassel-Würzburg route. You'll get ICT services from Frankfurt to Wiesbaden via the airport and Mainz as well. You'll need the Frankfurt-Fulda route for that. You'll get IC services, you'll get S-bahn services as well. There are more detailed breakdowns of those services specifically in the roadmap article, but essentially, hearing the community feedback, knowing that you wanted more, it's been fantastic to be able to announce that this is included, and it will be there included from launch. So that's really brilliant, and I think it's just been a really big win seeing some of the some of the reactions from the roadmap earlier today. So I'm going to roll some of the remaining screenshots we've got, and these are new screenshots we've been able to get for the route. And Matt, why don't you give me some insight on Frankfurt S-bahn?
I mean, the key thing with this is you're looking at a network style route, which is kind of one of the things that we wanted to do here. You're building on Frankfurt, obviously, but you've got such a variety of traffic on here. But it's about focusing on that S-bahn. We haven't really focused on S-bahn for quite a long time. It's been part and parcel of some of the routes, and it's been sort of some of the slightly longer haul S-bahn lines. This is very much a traditional S-bahn line, so it's been good to get back to that type of gameplay. But being a network route as well, it's kind of it's a lot of different routes merged together as well. So you never feel like you're gonna have to play it a lot, I think, to start feeling the repetition. And you've got the ICE services now running through the airport station. So there's lots of different paths to take, lots of different trains to take. And I tell you what, I love how the 430 looks. There's just something about that new BR 430 that it's kind of a 423, but it looks modern. Look, it's got that sort of thing where you can tell it's a more modern train than the 423 the 423 is. So and obviously 423 has always been a favorite, so yeah, it's good to see that on there as well. So interesting route, interesting journeys, lots and lots of places to go. It should be tons and tons of fun. Well, it is. I mean, I've been really enjoying the screenshots the beta testers have been taking. So it's yeah, looking forward to it.
I'm looking forward to it as well. I mean, some of these screenshots that we've been looking at have been fantastic. I think there's also a good testament to photo mode and the differences you can do with like the camera distance changing the focal length, which makes screenshots and roadmaps look way better. But what I want to include as well is that this route will include obviously the new DB-BR430. It will include the DB-BR423, and it will include the DB-BR143 and the Dosto combination as well. All other services which call at Fernbahnhof, I hope I've pronounced that correctly. But all other services that call at Fernbahnhof will be additional layers. We're gonna share more details about the layers, the timetabling at a future point. But for this roadmap, we did want to confirm that you'll get the 430, the 423, and then the 13 with the Dostos combination included with Frankfurt S-bahn. And as a final note, it is worth clarifying that this will be a Gen 9 only route as well. We did mention that back in the March roadmap too, but for those of you interested, please keep that in mind as well. So That kind of ends off the Frankfurt section, but we'll be continuing and we're going to be moving over to our third-party partners because we've got a huge range of updates from our third-party partners this month. And there's so much to dive into. There's more announcements we'll get into, but we're going to start with the DBBR420, which actually was re-announced, was re-added to the roadmap because it was originally announced on the roadmap quite a while back and it came away from the roadmap graphic and it came back to us in March. And here we are with some new screenshots today. So if I go over to my 420 tab, you can see here some of the screenshots that we've been able to share. And this is coming from the TSG team and will be supporting gameplay on the upcoming Frankfurt S-bahn route. So that's why we decided to follow it on from talking about S-bahn because it will help support gameplay there. So you'll be able to get your hands on this modernized 8th Series 420. There'll be swinging doors. There's a digital display with a speedometer, the LZB, the PZB, in the cab, and an LED destination board. You will notice some differences when compared to the 430 inside. There's changes to colors, there's changes to decals. This is a 3-car EMU. There aren't any walk-through gangways, but all around it represents a much more classic style of driving. And riding along the S-bahn Rhine-Main, it will feel like the early 1970s. So Matt, what about the 420? What makes this special?
I mentioned this when we announced it last time, so if we were on the last stream, it's going to sound repetitive, but for me, it's sound. I mean, the look is very distinctive, of course, but the sounds on this thing, they're old school motors, so they've got a much more hardcore, sort of grindy sound to them. None of this modern, light, airy-fairy, singing electric nonsense. This is a motor that sounds like it can't get out of bed in the morning, and I'm in favour of that. So no, I always like to drive this on TS Classic. There's a really great model of the 420 on TS Classic, and seeing it coming to this, especially on the really busy Frankfurt S-bahn route, is a treat. I'm really looking forward to that.
Yeah, and the DBBR 420, it will come with its own interpretation of the Frankfurt S-bahn timetable, swapping out 430 traffic for its classic predecessor as well. You can also use it on Hauptstrecke München to Augsburg as well in FreeRoam's scenario planner. So you've got more options to use it there too. But yes, this is coming from the TSG team and they've been doing fantastic work and we'll keep updating you with more information as we go. And just to answer a couple of people in the chat who were asking about when will Frankfurt S-bahn be released, we've not announced any of those details just yet. But of course, there'll be more articles coming soon. So keep an eye out on our announcements, keep an eye out on our articles where we share them on our website or in community spaces. And we should be able to let you know as soon as we can. But nothing to announce yet, but loads of exciting screenshots. And if you want to save them, you want to look at them in more detail, again, the roadmap article is in the description. You can find them all there. So now we're going to move over to another third-party partner. We're going to go over to Athena Simulations because we're going to be talking about the East Coast Mainline Diesel Railtour pack. And again, I've got a fantastic range of screenshots here. And this is actually something that is releasing very soon. It's releasing on Thursday this week, April 3rd, and you can pick this up for $11.99. It's actually a little bit cheaper if you're on PlayStation at $11.49, and that's Great British pounds. In euros, it's $13.99 on euros and $13.99 on US dollars as well. So this will support all of the current platforms: Steam, Epic, PS4, 5, Xbox One, Xbox Series S and X, and Windows 10 as well. And what you're looking at here, well, actually the screenshot that's come up is no longer the 47, but the feature of the pack right here is a newly modeled variant of the Class 47 locomotive, the Isambard Kingdom Brunel. And it's coming with new MK1 coaching stock in BR blue and grey liveries. And you've got 4 different variants that are both air and vacuum braked. You've got them in the BG, TSO, BSO, and FK variants. Included in the pack is also the BR Class 40 and the BR Class 45 diesel locomotives, as well as 10 scenarios for East Coast Mainline Doncaster to Peterborough. And these aren't just any old scenarios. These include full-on depot movements, run-around movements, coupling, as well as double-headed formations. I know the Athena simulation team were really keen on us highlighting some of the special time they put into making these scenarios feel really good. And they'll be replicating special rail tours across the East Coast Mainline. So it's a really special pack. And it was something that we were actually hoping to preview to you all tonight. It's worth mentioning that unfortunately we had to postpone the stream simply due to some unforeseen circumstances that came up. We've not locked in another date for when we can show this, but we're going to keep you updated on our announcements. So I appreciate some of you were hanging around tonight to catch a preview of this, but we'll do that and we'll let you know as soon as we can once we can confirm this with the Athena simulations team. But just in case you were looking for where the preview went for that tonight, that's unfortunately has been postponed. But let's focus on the Class 47. I think another thing that's really impressive that when we were planning for the preview, we want to bring up is just the sheer amount of service timetables substitutions that come with it. You've got substitutions for the East Coast Main Line, the Great Western Express from the Diesel Legends timetable, Cathcart Circle Line, East Coastway, North Transpennine, West Cornwall Local, and West Somerset Railway. So it really is a pack that brings a lot of value, I think. And I think, again, the Athena team have put a lot of love in modeling the Class 47, making it feel very special. They've really highlighted some of the extra details they've gone on some of our previous articles about using a new modeling technique for the number plate. So it really is a really valuable pack. Matt, what are your thoughts?
I mean, I've said this. I'm going to be, going to continue being a broken record. IKB is a special locomotive to me. I used to go and train spot it myself when it was out and about. So I was always happy when I saw this was coming in the pack. I was actually having a play with the pack earlier on, and just getting into the scenarios. I'd forgotten how many scenarios there are. So which is really an amazing 10 scenarios is a ton of gameplay. And then, of course, once you've done all the scenarios, as you said, you've got substitution anywhere that on a wide range of routes. So it fits really nicely on Great Western, obviously, being a Western loco. IKB was a Western engineer. So it's really good fun running it on the Great Western route in the Diesel Legends timetable. So yeah, no, it's great fun. Yeah, hopefully we can get that preview stream done ASAP for you so you can see it.
And we can't wait to show you more. For now, keep an eye on our announcements in case we have a new date for the preview stream. And really just expect more from the Athena Simulations team very soon, because obviously the release is coming up just later this week, which will be really exciting. So we'll share more when that comes out too. So we're going to keep moving on. I know there are a couple questions in the chat that I had my eye on, but we've actually got some Q&A lined up at the end. So we'll have some questions that have come in from our feedback, Q&A thread, sorry, from the forums that we've got some answers for. And then we'll do some live Q&A towards the end of the stream too. But we've got so many more things coming up. And there's actually another brand new announcement I want to talk about right now from the TSG team again. So we're going back to TSG for a brand new announcement of the BR194 and the E94 pack. So this is something that we were able to reveal today. And this is a new pack featuring two locos, the BR194 and the E94088. Also a new passenger coach, a new freight wagon, a new 1984 timetable, and scenarios for Linke Rheinstrecke, as well as scenarios for Fälschischer Ludwigsbahn. So there is a fantastic amount of value in this pack. I mean, again, just to list off the rolling stock, you've got the BR194, you've got the 1980s version, the original E94. You've got the new E94088, which is a Railtour loco. You've got a new B4YG passenger coach. You've got the new GBS freight wagon. And then included is the ES50 freight wagon and the Fawns and DBB livery. And from gameplay perspective, you've got the new 1984 timetable for Linke Rheinstrecke, as we mentioned. This will also include layers from Mittenwaldbahn, the BR218 and Niddertalbahn. And then you also have two scenarios on Fälschischer Ludwigsbahn, two scenarios on Linke Rheinstrecke, and then the E94 Rail Tour will be used in various timetables too. So there is tons on this pack, and I think this is really exciting. And again, another one from the TSG team that I think a lot of people are going to look forward to. Matt, what are your thoughts on this new announcement?
I mean, the first thing I'd say is, as I've followed, Lucas's and the team's development on this pack, do not think that this is a reskin of the OBB, one that looks identical, very similar, so looks identical to it. Lucas was saying that they started out thinking, it was probably going to be a relatively straightforward job. It's basically been a rebuild of large chunks of the train. It's amazing how many little details have changed between the two versions of them. So no, there's a lot of work gone into this, as well as having the coach. I love the older German coaching stock. There's something old school about that I really like to see, see it on the screen now. But no, this is the OBB loco was a joy to drive, and this will bring that loco to German routes as well. So Big fan, big fan.
And if you actually want a full list of those differences, Lucas actually provided some full length descriptions that are in the roadmap article. But just to summarize some of them here, some of the modifications made: air system modifications, train brake valves have been changed. They're using Indusi I-54 instead of the I-60. It's a more utilitarian cab. There's different pantographs and different control systems, different lamp systems. There's been cosmetic changes across various different elements. Changes to the overload system. There's a weaker electric brake, and of course, it's in green paint. So there's a huge range of changes. There are more detail on all of those things I just listed just there, again on the roadmap article, which you can dive into. But if you're excited about this pack, I think that makes sense, and we'll keep you updated as we go with some more news. But we're really excited to announce this today, and the best part is, it wasn't even the only new announcement we had today either. So jumping swiftly onwards, we've got the Transport for Wales BR Class 142 Pacer from Just Trains. And we don't have a ton of images cycling for this one. You'll get kind of a bit of a left-right look and then a focus on some of the key details. But I know there's been a lot of exciting conversations about this from some of the UK audiences in the Discord, and generally just people looking forward to this new pack from Just Trains. So I think this is going to be a clear winner on the roadmap. If you have to pick your favorite thing, it's hard to choose, but I know a lot of people have been very favorable towards this. And this will be something that's coming forward, the working on the Cardiff City Network route. And it features the transitional livery when the arriver names and logos were removed, and then the TFW branding was placed over the underlaying livery. So actually, Just Trains have, I'm reading from what they've supplied on their blog, but they're supplying two versions of the livery, one with no TFW branding and the other with a TFW side length that says the start of a new journey, which is actually what happened, was what was visible on the side of the unit. As they transitioned over to TFW operations. So aside from just the debranding, this version also has LED headlights. It has 4-leaf doors replaced with 2-leaf bifold doors. We may be able to see the doors just on the side of the image there. You've got updated door opening and close buttons, sanding equipment fitted to aid with slippery rails. You've got the smash glass to access emergency door handle, although this is non-operational. Now you've got the roof. We'll get a look at the roof, and you can see the national radio network included on the top, and then you've also got GSMR antennas too. So some really fantastic details here in just these few screenshots from Just Trains. I can't wait to show some more screenshots of this, like on the route itself as well. But Matt, what are your thoughts on the Pacer, the bouncy Pacer?
It's a pacer. What more is there to say? It's. I was so thrilled when JT said they were going to take their pacer and bring it onto the Cardiff route. I was just like, yes, perfect. So yeah, no, I'm really pleased with that, and it's looking great. So yeah, no, this should be a really good release. And the pacer is fun to drive. You know, there's got then it's got not nicknamed the Nodding Donkey for no reason. So it's good fun to drive, and I think it will fit the journeys on Cardiff beautifully.
Now, if you want to follow a little bit more along with Just Trains, they do have their own blog on their website, and so we work with them when it comes to roadmaps, and we make sure we're sharing our information as best we can. But you can follow along on Just Trains blog too, and I recommend if you're interested, you can check that out. But we'll share more details for the new 142 Transport for Wales Pacer DMU coming from them as it comes. And speaking of which, we're going to keep moving forward because we've still got more updates from the various teams. And we're going to move over to high iron simulation. Now, this has been one that I think the screenshots just are fantastic. And we weren't able to get any new screenshots just in time for this roadmap. So I'm using some of the screenshots for the March roadmap, but I'm hoping we can get some more in that we can share maybe within the next couple of weeks or so, because it's a really beautiful looking locomotive that really stands out amongst some of the kind of deserty sanded backgrounds. But of course, from the high iron simulation team, they provided a shorter update this month, and they've just been talking about that they're conducting initial in-game testing. They're further refining the work on the locomotives included in the pack. And if you've not heard about this pack, this is going to bring Santa Fe railroading of the 1990s to the Cajon Pass route. You'll get two locomotives. You get the AT and SF EMD SD40 in the blue and yellow freight loco colors, as well as the Santa Fe GE C48W in the Santa Fe war bonnet livery, which we're seeing just on screen now. Um, and also freight equipment, you'll get a Santa Fe 2-bay cement-covered hopper, a Santa Fe 3-bay ribbed side hopper, and then an iconic 86-foot auto parts boxcar. So it's a really lovely pack, and I think for US players, this should be a really keen thing to keep an eye on. And I think the best thing from talking with the high-end team a lot more closely, they really wanted to focus on robust, authentic operating experiences. And that's what I really hope they're going to deliver with this. And they've been really working to make sure it's tested and in the best position possible. Matt, any thoughts?
Again, I'm going to continue sounding like a broken record. The C40 in the wall bonnet livery is probably one of the most beautiful things I've seen in the game. It's always been a favourite livery of mine, and I'm really so excited to see the gameplay that the High Iron team bring. They're a very knowledgeable bunch. They know US operations really well. They've got a great background, and they've also done collectively quite a lot of work in TS Classic as well. So certainly not new to train simulation in any stretch of the imagination, but not used to the US railroads either. They've been they're all sort of lifelong in that respect. So it's it's a really great partner to have working in the game. Hopefully the start of an early US third party, and hopefully the start of many more to come. But this is looking great. Actually, the screenshots are good. First time I've seen some of these screenshots, and that war bonnet, I'll have me some of that.
I'll have me some of that. I mean, I just like the color. I mean, I've always been a fan of the US logos. Something about just the boxiness, the shape, the weight, the size. It's really fun. It's even better when you can throw them on the London Underground in free roam. It just, it just works. But yeah, this
Back in
is
your box, Alex.
yeah. But of course, this is obviously fantastic work from the high-end simulations team, and we will update you more. There are some really wonderful screenshots that they've been sending recently that we're going to get hopefully approved and shared to the community soon. But moving on from the high-end simulations team, we're going to jump over to Skyhook Games because they've got an update for the Cargo Line Volume 3 and they've got some wonderful new screenshots. So this is Cargo Line Volume 3 Intermodal. We've been talking about this for a little while and I want to just re-summarize again. This is a Class 66 diesel locomotive. You'll get it in DB red and grey, as well as the FCA Intermodal spine wagon in an EWS maroon livery. Now you'll get these included as well as journey mode, timetable services, and 3 scenarios for both West Coast Mainline London Euston to Milton Keynes, as well as East Coast Mainline Peterborough to Doncaster. And of course, these wagons will add more options to run freight formations in free roam, formation designer, and it will of course bolster your collection too. And Skyhook, I've really just mentioned that they're pushing towards the final stages of testing. Again, they want to make sure it is as robust and as best as possible when it's ready to release too. But yeah, of course, I mean, we've been sharing some of these images for the Cargo Line pack, and I think the Skyhook team do a lovely job of these packs, and this is the 3rd volume. We've also recently announced the 4th volume as well. It's coming very soon in the 0 to 3 months category, and it just helps build out that kind of collection of cargo, freight wagons in the way you want to. As we've mentioned, Volume 3 focuses on intermodal, but Volume 4 will be military, and I don't believe... Try not to trip up on what we've already announced. I don't believe we've announced Volume 5 by name yet. I know we've potentially teased it. So I'll leave it at that in case I'm wrong. So any words on this pack at all, Matt?
Just briefly, the Cargo Line packs always bring a lot of much needed extra variety and gameplay to the routes. They deliver that really well. So it's good to see there's a number of more of these packs coming.
And it's really fantastic work from the Skyhook Games team. So we're going to keep you all updated. There should be more news we can share fairly soon, but we'll let you know and just keep an eye on our announcements as we go. So those are all the images for the new content coming up. I have, but I'm not just done yet. I think there's a special something that a few people have been talking about. Maybe it's got the community a bit excited. And that is we're going to go over to the London Overground Mildmay line just for a quick touch-in with Johannes, the solo developer of Incredible Trains. And actually, Johannes is really keen on working with us. He's really keen on working on post-release improvements. He says he's currently focusing on investigating passenger spawn issues as well as blurry textures appearing somewhere on the route. And he's working on making these fixes his top priority for an upcoming post-release update, which is really great to hear. But that's not all. From seeing all the feedback and support for the route, he's actually announced he's looking into an extension between Stratford and Richmond, which I know from the community feedback has been a big area where everyone was really interested in if the route would be extended to Richmond. And it's something that he's currently looking into, and we can't wait to share you more on that. We don't have anything to share at the moment, but we do know that this is something that Johannes is very keen on doing. And the best part is that he's keen on doing it as a free update for all owners of the Mildmay line add-on. So you won't need to pay a penny more if you already own a route, and it will be going to Richmond. So, you can expect more track length, more stations included in that. And we'll share the details a little bit closer to the time. But it's really exciting news from Johannes. And again, it's been a fantastic journey for Johannes coming into obviously the partner program, especially as a solo developer, but also just learning the ropes for the first time with this first release. And I think it's just been a fantastic story. And it's been great to see Johannes get involved in the community spaces as well. I see his name pop up on quite a lot of the different areas that we're involved in. So it's a fantastic announcement today. And I think the Richmond extension has got a lot of people excited. Any thoughts on going to Richmond, Matt?
Oh, I mean, it's a natural way to continue, and it finishes the Mildmay line. So I know that throughout development, actually, he was kind of like, I really want to do this. So he's made the decision to look at it more closely now. So looking forward to seeing him continue with that.
Oh, and one last thing as well before we go over to some of the other sections on the roadmap is that we got another person joining our third party our partner program, which is exciting. It's a new studio called All Aboard Studios. Of course, it's fantastic to share more news of the growing teams that are working with us. And there's a full in-depth interview in the roadmap article. So I won't dive into all the details, but what I will share is that if you can follow All Aboard Studios, you can see them on their website, www.allaboardstudios.co.uk. You can follow them on social media. It's just all_aboard_studios. And you can find out more for when they're ready to share news about the pack. But what they have shared is a tiny little teaser that I loaded this into my OB. Let me get this up. I'm going to just add it over us right now because I don't think I loaded it in. But it is a teaser, and unfortunately we haven't shared anything more than just it is a teaser. So there it is. You get it in full screen glory because I didn't load it up correctly for us. So there you go.
Yeah, folks, this route officially has tracks.
Yeah, there you go. I mean, it potentially has paint as well. I'm
There
not
is
one to
paint.
start speculation, but that looks
We
like
could
paint.
even get specific about the color of paint.
I think that's too far. I don't know. It's saying too much. Um, I must say that it's for me personally, that paint is somewhat familiar. I, you know, Anyway, I'll leave it up for the speculation, but this is all we've got. So again, we're introducing All Aboard Studios. They'll be able to share more news soon from their side, but they'll also be keeping up with us as well. So you can expect more updates coming from what they're working on in our roadmap in the future, as well as our announcements too. Right? Which image is this? It's this one, right? There we go. We're back. Cool. So that was everything new that was announced in the April roadmap. In terms of like the actual add-ons and content coming from the various third-party partners and from our own teams as well. I did want to touch on some of the patches and updates we've had over the last month going through March. We had 3 kind of core patches coming to Train Sim World. We had one on March 13th that touched on core improvements and various fixes for Mittenwaldbahn, Mannheim, Verschichte Ludwigsbahn, and the Mildmay line as well. This is also the same update that West Somerset Railway got a range of Train Sim World 5 standard upgrades, including updated lighting, track signals, a new suspension for all of the included rolling stock. So again, if you've come away from Train Sim World for a while and you're just hearing about this now, and you own West Somerset Railway, definitely be sure to give it a look because it's had a couple key major overhauls and updates for free over the last few months now, and it's a really exciting route that I think a lot of people have come to love a lot more. On March 21st, we shared a smaller patch to address some key issues. Again, these were for some of the recently released March releases, Thomas and Friends, Cardiff City, and Mildmay. And at the end of the month, we also had some more post-release improvements coming to Zwolle-Groningen, again, as well as other March add-ons. So it's worth just reminding everyone that we're continuing to review improvements. We're working on post-release patches as often as we can. We've hit a pretty good rhythm recently of getting a patch out every couple of weeks. And we've been doing well through March since that. We've actually had a couple patches in the last 3 or 4 weeks. So It's really good, but we're going to continue to review feedback. We know that there's areas where we want to improve. We know we want to work on performance. We know we want to work on trying to address some of the key issues that you're raising with us. And we know what these are. We know the blurry textures is one of the key problems. We know that performance is one. We know that crash rates, we're trying to keep as minimal as possible. Really, we're working towards the best experience possible. And this may not be something we do in just one big here's everything patch. It's more of just something we're feeding into every patch we can. So with these regular patches throughout the month that we're doing, we're basically squeezing in as many optimizations we can for the included routes and for the core where we can and where it makes sense. So Matt, is there any more you want to add on in terms of where we are regarding performance improvements and working on improving?
We're continuing to look at some of the team have been looking into frame rate issues. Some of the team have been looking into memory issues and out of memory and out of video memory. So it's getting a handle on some of that stuff. And unfortunately, you'd think memory being a finite sort of amount of stuff, you'd be able to find out much more easily. But it turns out the way that memory is handled is much more timey-wimey, squishy than makes sense to be. Well, actually, it makes perfect sense once you get into it, but it doesn't help us. So the team are digging into that. So, but we're making some progress in some of the areas, some of the ideas. Sometimes it's literally just a case of, well, let's explore this and see if this will help, or let's explore this and see if this will help. And doing some of that. So it's unfortunately very much not straightforward, but yeah, we've got a team looking into those kinds of things, and those are pretty much the priorities, to be honest. Is those kinds of the memory is probably the number one priority, I would say, but there is another engineer or two looking at various performance related things as well.
I appreciate that, and I know it's a big conversation that goes around in the community quite often. And again, when we do regular patches and when we have our bi-weekly updates, we always look for opportunities to try and squeeze in improvements and optimizations. And you may see these labeled as minor optimizations or fixes to improve performance or frame rate. Sometimes we don't even mention them because they may just be small tweaks. Some recent examples have been, I think there was a patch where we removed maybe one or two benches that weren't really useful in the background, again, just to shave off a touch of memory where it's helpful for players on various platforms or on generic platforms or platforms where the memory is lower. Team are aware of it. It's a priority, and it's something that we're very keen on making as best as possible. But we appreciate your patience while we work on this. And with that said, let's move over to the community corner because there's some quite important updates in it and actually some exciting stuff as well if you're interested in mastery, and especially since some of the new news we've shared is mastery poster related. So these are on screen. These are some of the new core Train Sim World 5 mastery posters that you can unlock that went live, I think, hours ago. These went live this afternoon between about 2 to 3 p.m. The update, I think, should have been instant because it was more of a back-end change, but it may take up to 24 hours to load in, similar to all of our other patches. But essentially, get ready to spice up the walls across your favorite routes. Earlier in March, in our March roadmap, we showed off this new type of mastery, which is the mastery posters, and how it would work on Cardiff City Network. And today, these will now be released across every Train Sim World 5 route. It's a new system, and let me just quickly explain how this works. So you can unlock the posters by completing mastery challenges, as you'd normally expect, for a specific add-on, and the mastery posters will be included in a new challenge tier for each route. And then once you've unlocked them, there will be pre-designated areas across all Train Sim World 5 routes that these posters can appear. They'll be randomly selected from the pool of your owned posters, and you can have these configured per region. So essentially, the more you unlock, the more variation you see. And it's just a really cool system. It's a splash of color. I know the Dovetail Live team that we've got worked really hard on this, and it's a fantastic add-on, really. You'll be able to see which posters you've unlocked through the reward menu, but you must be logged into Dovetail Live to make use of the feature. So it's a really awesome feature. We hope you enjoy it, but let us know your feedback. There are the ones we shared there are just the ones for the Train Sim World 5 core routes, but of course there's obviously posters for the other add-ons released as well, and the same for moving forward too. While we're on the topic of mastery, I've also got the April monthly mastery. I've just hit my border there. There we go. The monthly mastery challenge too. Oh no, I've uploaded the wrong one. This is the one. This is the April Fool's variant. Don't worry, you don't have to complete 15 million scenarios this month, or walk aimlessly for 8 hours. No, this was our April Fool's variant. So let me get the real version. There we go. Just 15 scenarios. You know, it's okay. You don't have to sail 173 nautical miles. It's just drive. You know, pick your favorite loco. But of course, this is our monthly mastery challenge where you can log in. These should be live right now, and you can earn yourself the mastery challenge badge for the month, which you can find in Livery Designer. And if you've been collecting these so far, you've almost got a full stamp card. We're getting closer towards when we did the reset for the year in September, so you've almost got a full collection, and I think that's really cool to see more players as they kind of collect their mastery posters and their badges too. So. Mastery is really exciting at the moment this month, and I think that's been really great to see. I know the team has been working hard on it too. So um, let's move on. There is something I want to talk about, which is quite a new, unique addition for this roadmap. It's something we've done a little bit in the past, but I want to bring it back and I want to keep it somewhat regular. And it's the community spotlight, and it's putting the torch down on people within the community that go out of their way to really help elevate the game, elevate the community for everyone in Train Sim World and to enjoy the hobby too. And this month, we're going to be looking at Tygerways. Now, you can find some links to their articles, their website, and to their YouTube channel in our roadmap. But you can just search Tygerways. It's just Tiger with a Y instead of with an I if you're thinking of the animal. And then ways is in I'm going that ways. One word. So Tygerways, they have a fantastic range of guides and tutorials. They have a website you can go to, and on the website you can filter by the menu and choose a region. You can choose the Netherlands, and you can find tutorials and signaling for Zwolle-Groningen. You can filter by France. You can filter by the UK, Germany, the US. And you can find tons of guides for various add-ons in Train Sim World, guides on signaling, and it's just really comprehensive. And we think it's a fantastic thing to elevate because finding new resources, helping people on board into Train Sim World if they've never driven before, if it's a new thing they're picking up, if it's a new hobby. Guides and tutorials are always fantastic, and I think it's a really handy way to have that all in one place. So we wanted to give a little bit of a spotlight over to Tygerways. So absolutely fantastic. They reached out to us and wanted to try and promote it as best they could. And so we wanted to give this spot to them. But I would like to keep the community spotlight going. We know there's fantastic people in our community, and we have an amazing range of ambassadors that also do the same. They also make a wonderful guides, tutorials. But we'll pass the torch around. We'll make sure to celebrate everyone as best as we can, hopefully every month. So that's it from the community spotlight. And one more thing, and I don't know, maybe people in the chat maybe give us a wave or give us a quick mention if this is something that you're interested in. But actually something coming from our retail team is that Train Sim World 5 will be coming soon to Nvidia GeForce Now. And if you've not heard of GeForce Now, this is essentially a cloud streaming service where you can basically play Train Sim World 5 on Nvidia's servers on your device, which means that they can do all the hard work, loading the game, loading the route, downloading the content. You can just play the game. So we haven't got any details yet on exactly when this is coming, but what we will say is that we can confirm this will be coming. I think the ideal aim was sometime around April, but again, we'll confirm that a little bit close to the time when we've got the official confirmation. But you will be able to stream from NVIDIA's servers to your personal device. And if you want to look up how this works, you can go to the NVIDIA GeForce Now How to Play website. If you search that in Google, you should be able to find it. And I may be able to pop a link in just before we jump into some Q&A. But it's obviously something that if it interests you, then maybe it's really exciting. I've not seen too much chatter on this since the roadmap went live earlier, but it would be interesting for people that are excited, because I think it might be a really good service, especially for those that are trying to play content and maybe their system's a little bit on the lower end and they need some help loading some of the routes in a higher quality. So that should be really exciting. And that does wrap up everything we had on the roadmap for April 2025. So it's been a really exciting month. I think March has also been a crazy exciting time as well. And I think just generally speaking, it's been a brilliant time to be involved in Train Sim World, be excited about the community. And with some new announcements, I hope the next month is also going to be a great load of fun too. We're going to jump into some Q&A. I've got some questions prepared, but I'll also take some from the live chat too. Matt, is there anything you wanted to mention on some of the community stuff before we jump into Q&A?
Nope, nothing I can think of. Let's go for it.
Let's go for it. Okay, I'm going to switch over my script. That way I can look better at the live chat coming in on this screen. And although Matt's gone invisible, no, he's good. Okay. In that case, I'm going to start with the first question, and I think someone may have answered this before. So yeah, Frankfurt S-bahn. When is this going to release? We've not announced anything on this yet, but of course we'll let you know in articles. I think it is worth quickly stating again. Any questions about new content, or are we going to consider doing this, or when is this out? If we haven't confirmed anything, we really can't say much. Whether we know or whether we don't actually know for sure, if it's not been officially confirmed anywhere publicly, we can't really add on to it. So unfortunately, we can't say anything more about the Frankfurt S-bahn release, but just know it's coming soon, and we'll let you know more when we can confirm it. Frankfurt S-bahn, is there any plans to continue this route to Cologne? There's nothing outside of what we shared today, so assume no. But of course, I know there's obviously a lot of conversation with the Mildmay line and extension, but for Frankfurt S-bahn, no plans to extend the route to Cologne. Matt, there's a quick question I'll pass your way. I don't know if you've seen this issue, but I know it's been reported by Harry in the team. The PS5 cab display screen issue is from a recent patch. Does that sound familiar at all?
Where the screens don't work. Yeah, you can't interact with them. Is that the one?
I think
I'm
that's right,
aware
yeah.
of that. I've got the team looking into it.
Thank you very much. And this is a really interesting one that might be a good topic, but it kind of follows on from some of the optimizations we were talking about. And the context was for Zwolle-Groningen, people were talking about, or this player was talking about, that they've actually noticed some of the performance has been quite smooth. It's been quite a smooth journey for them. And they asked, did we learn any new optimization techniques when developing Zwolle-Groningen? And I wonder if there's anything you wanted to add on that.
I'd have to go and find out because the route has performed really well actually in terms of all of the numbers, the frame rate, memory usage is done very well. So I do need to go back and find out what they've applied with this one. Now, one of the things that helps it is the track plan is quite straightforward. That helps a lot. The timetable is relatively straightforward. Those are two big consumers of memory. I think there's just the route helped itself in that respect. Routes that have got really complicated track plans. So the reason that Frankfurt S-bahn is a Gen 9 only route, for example, because it's a really busy timetable, really busy track plan. Those things are things which will make that more challenging. So, but no, I will go back and I'll find out from the team if there's anything specific, and we'll try. Maybe we'll note it in the next roadmap.
I appreciate you jumping in and saying you love the Dutch route. It's been fantastic. I mean, we've seen an amazing range of feedback. But yeah, keep it coming, folks. It's really wonderful to hear and see the great screenshots. And as well, also let us know of any issues. We're raising these with the team and doing our best to flag them. The other one was also related to Zwolle as well, and it's, are there any more plans for Dutch routes? So again, I kind of did mention this, but again, if we haven't announced anything, then we can't really say it. But what I will say is the feedback's been phenomenal. We're glad you're enjoying the route. We're glad you're enjoying your first adventure in trains and to the Netherlands. I'll leave it at that. So yeah, there's no more plans currently that we've announced at all for more Dutch routes, but it's been fantastic feedback. So it's been great to see it. Any more longer term plans to improve route hopping, Matt?
Not at the minute, no. But DM me, send me what you'd like to see.
I think that question was just there wasn't anything to it, so that is a good suggestion. If there are suggestions as well, we do have a suggestions form, and that isn't just for new route, that isn't just for new logos or content, that can be for systems and features and updates as well. I've seen a couple of questions in a live chat as well, and this is relating to the 158 timetable for 5 circle. I don't believe we've got anything new to share on when this update will come just yet. So it's another one to just keep an eye out for an announcement on when you can expect that. And Matt, just an update on where we're at with Xbox. This is Z fighting and audio popping.
Audio popping, no progress. It's down to how the Xbox is rendering the audio. Exactly the same files don't pop anywhere else. So that one's a complicated one that we've not made any progress on really. And there we did try to switch over to a different audio format, but that made the memory problem 10 times worse. So that wasn't a goer. So yeah, that one's still on the investigation. And the Z fighting, I re-raised it to our art director to make sure it's top of everyone's radar to make sure that it doesn't happen again. We know what causes it. It's again, it's another quirk of the Xbox, exactly the same assets. work fine on the PlayStation and the PC, but there's a quirk in the API that's made it to where these things are Z fighting. It's like some sort of it's probably a rounding error or a rounding difference compared to how the other platforms do it. So it's there's not really anything we can do about it in terms of a global fix. We haven't seen any way we can do that. Other games suffer from this as well, and they have to work around it. So yeah, we what we're looking at is making sure that at the minimum it doesn't happen again, which I know I've said before, and it's happened again. So I've re-raised it and said, no, that's not good enough. We need to get on with it.
Thank you for that, Matt. There is one I wanted to. I'll maybe get you cooking on your answer when I talk a little bit about some of the movements on the roadmap. But we'll come to new countries, and I think again we phrase this under the whole if it's not announced we can't talk about it. But I think the general idea of talking about new countries and what that means from a reference trip point of view and how we get images is worth discussing. But I'll hold on that for just a moment. I know a lot of you have talked a little bit about some of the SimTrack Studios content moving off the roadmap asset. So I wanted to clarify a couple points on this, and this was included in the article, but it is worth stating. This is not an indication of progress. We've moved the SimTrack Studio stuff off the asset in a similar way that we removed the DB420 from the roadmap, and then back in March. Last month we reintroduced it and we had more screenshots to share about it. We've had the SimTrack Studio content up there for quite some time now, and we haven't been able to provide a super detailed update in the last couple of months. And it's making sure that we communicate a fair reflection of what you can expect coming up, but it is by no means an indication of development progress and development timelines. So I wouldn't think of it like that. Think of it more as we try to keep the roadmap asset as best a picture of what you can expect coming to Train Sim World, either in the immediate time or in the general soon terms as well. And we're trying to move to a point, and this is my second part on this, we're trying to get to a point where the roadmap asset is something that's a little bit smaller. It is something that's a little bit more in the immediacy focused. I think we've had difficulty when we basically had one or two things in the 0 to 3 months and then just our big list of stuff in a to be confirmed. Because realistically, we could fill that to be confirmed as long as we want. We could put as many things in there. It could even be stuff that we just think about and we could just be like, yeah, we might do it. We could make that list huge, but it's not useful for people and it doesn't help people manage their expectations. I think a lot of people that look at our roadmap asset, if they see something on it, they expect it relatively soon. They expect to see development update on it. They expect to see things from it. And so we want to make sure that that's handled in a way that's fair and it's managed. And I think people don't feel like they're not seeing any updates for months and months on end is a problem if they see it on the roadmap. So not an indication of any development changes at all, but we just want to keep the roadmap graphic a little bit more refined. And then if we get more updates, we can bring it back. But like I said, we've done this a couple times. I think adding stuff to the graphic is always a big sign. Removing stuff is simply just a case of us just trying to manage expectations as best we can. But we'll let you know. But I think keep that in mind, that it's more of just a case of expectation management and less on development. Just hopping back to the new countries thing, it might be a question that it might deem a quick answer, but I'll let you lead on it. What is the hardest part about visiting a new country for Train Sim World? Is it reference gathering? Is it making sure that we have the sufficient knowledge on, say, stuff like signaling and expertise within the team? What is stopping us from just visiting the whole wide world?
On time. So the thing that I guess going and visiting a route, taking photographs of the route, recreating the route is broadly the same in any territory. Yeah, it's where it gets different is from the routes perspective at a relatively high level is the nature of the assets. Architecture is different in different countries. Foliage is different in different countries. And really an understanding, what is it that's important to make a Dutch route feel Dutch or a French route feel French or whatever. How do you make that? How do you capture that? What's important? What's not important? So that you can spend your time in the right places. There's there's those elements to consider. Probably the most hardest. That's really great in English, Matt. Well done. The most difficult, challenging area for the team, though, I think, is that in order to create an experience which, if you've got hundreds of people out there who are enthusiasts for a particular railways in a particular country, we have to become as much as knowledgeable and as enthusiastic about that railway as you, at least as you, so that we can capture and recreate an experience which you're going to enjoy. We need to find all those nuances. We need to get into that. We need to understand how that signaling system works, what the character of that is, what's important about it. It isn't just there is a signal of this shape here that shows these lights. Well, why is it doing that? Why is it there? What's the reason behind it? And really digging into that stuff. So finding a lot of technical documentation, talking to people in the area. It takes quite a long time to build that sort of that level up. I mean, the Dutch route, we learned and we got into the sort of the team started getting very familiar with the Dutch railways years ago. Um, they started building up knowledge on that, and so not necessarily with a view to this particular project, but just because we kind of always wanted to head in that direction. So it was kind of that was why we did the Dutch route in particular rather than picking a different country to, because at this point we have a good knowledge, I think, of everything that we need to represent, and that's backed up well by good support in our beta forum and close community members in from the Dutch community as well, and making sure that checking us, making sure that we've got things right. So it all kind of works in that way. So it's kind of building up that and becoming as knowledgeable as you are about your favourite railway. And that's not a 5-minute job, but nor should it be a 5-minute job. It's taking you years to be as knowledgeable as you are about it. That won't take us years to become that knowledgeable, but it's not a 5-minute job. It takes a lot of time for the team to invest in that and get hold of the reference. And sometimes that reference is not, we're used to where to find UK reference and where to find US reference. And you've got to kind of find all of these different, where is Dutch reference and where are the good websites for this kind of photography or this kind of reference that we can find. And once you start building that up, then it's great actually. Then it solves a lot of problems. So that for me is kind of the two things. I mean, it really wraps up into how do you capture the essence of that experience so that it's going to be relatable and as good as a UK route to a UK player, and making sure you can hit that mark. Because if all you do is put the track down where a track is, put the signals down where the signal is, I think that's a bit soulless. You've got to recreate the character of the railway as well.
A really lovely answer. Thank you, Matt. I think there was a lot of questions about would we go to this country, or would we make routes here. And I hope that gives you a good answer for that. But what I would say is, in the last month alone, we've been in Train Sim World to 2 brand new countries. We've never been to Wales before, and we've definitely never been to the Netherlands before, with Zwolle-Groningen. And again, both have seen really great feedback, really good reviews, really good scores. So it's a great sign that it's pushing in the right direction. And of course, we've announced the Tadar Milan from the Union Workshop team as another new country coming. So it's exciting, and if the feedback keeps coming in that gets good scores, that explores the world a little bit more, then maybe the potential is there. But I think it's been really fantastic to see the good feedback, especially for Zwolle over the last month. So I'd say last month, the last couple of weeks. But yeah, I'll leave it with Matt's answer because I think that summarizes it the best it can be done.
That's the first time anyone's ever said anything I said was a summary.
Well, I mean, you did speak for a good 5 minutes there, but
Get the PowerPoint ready for next time.
so there was a question about GeForce Now. I think when I mentioned this earlier, I would like to come back to you with some full details. We can maybe have like an FAQ page for this as well. So expect more for that. But on the roadmap, we've just mentioned that it's something that is coming for Train Sim World 5 soon. So expect more, and I'll look to confirm and have a separate post for this. Date for Great Western Express remaster, nothing yet. to be confirmed, but we've got no we've not announced anything just yet on when this is coming. We know a lot of you are really excited for this, but we've not got anything in the plan just yet to announce. And then there was one on the Vectron ATB update. Again, it's another one where we've announced it. We were hoping to have it released by this point, but we had to hold up on some of those updates while we just finished testing them. So we'll let you know. I wouldn't think it's too long.
No,
Yeah, it should be something
not
we
long.
should be able to get to you very soon in one of the coming up updates. So another one we'll just let you know, but it's useful following us on our website, on our forums, in our community spaces, and you can catch the news on announcements when they come up. So just a quick question on PC Editor, Matt. Updates. We talked recently in the last couple roadmaps, I think back in February, because I missed the March roadmap, so apologies, you had to suffer through JD for March. But we talked a little bit about mod manager coming in and example assets coming in and simulgraph assets coming in and trying to provide as much functionality for the PC editor as possible with players. I know there's some keen people who that keep up with me every month to find out what's happening with the editor. So it would be nice to see if we've got any news we can share with them for the PC editor.
So it's still coming soon. It's not far off. I think it'll either be this month or next month now, when the editor updates come out. And then we'll pull out a detailed article of what all the changes are. There's a neat modding tool, mod manager tool in there for and there's some wizards for creating mods as well that sets up folder structures and so forth for you as well. So there's some really cool stuff in there. So we're getting that out as soon as we can. But yeah, it's not just yet. So bear with us, and then you can have a look at that. We'll get an information then about what's in that update. And the API will be in the same update as that. So those of you looking for the new API for controllers and external software, it will be in the same update as the editor comes out.
And that was all the ones I had on my list. There are a few more questions in the chat that I've been making a quick note of. I'll try and go through these quickly, and then I'll keep an eye out in the chat for a little bit before we close out. Someone quickly asked, do we have any plans for the 200th anniversary of the railways? I believe there are plans. Obviously, I know you didn't ask for any specifics, and I couldn't even give you specifics right now because I've been focused on making sure that both roadmaps today were released as good as they can. But you know, we've been having conversations. We're aware of the date. We'll let you know. I think is the best way to put it for now. And then let me just go through the chat. There was a couple ones. It's good to see Casual Rail in here. It's been fantastic to roll you into our ambassador program very recently. So I look forward to seeing new content from you as well. What else have we got?
Someone's cracking the whip.
Well, he's just getting more ambassadors into our program. Okay, let's see. Yes, someone asked a question about the class 153s on Cardiff. Where are we up to on those issues? We've been getting the feedback in. So generally when a route launches, so we have, it's worth just quickly mentioning this, but we're taking that feedback in. We've had a couple post-release updates that have improvements for Cardiff so far. But generally speaking, before route releases, we're aware of some issues that we're looking to resolve. We'll fix as many as we can for launch, and then if there's any that need to come in a post-release update, we'll have those ready for a post-release update. And then when it launches, there'll be obviously loads of more people jumping onto the content and the gameplay from various different systems. And essentially, it's like this huge testing environment where we can see more of the bigger picture of any issues that may crop up. And then we can kind of get those logged. So right now we've got a pretty good list. We've been logging these in our ticketing software of issues for Cardiff, but also just generally for all the releases in March, Mildmay, Cardiff, Thomas, Zwolle. So we've got pretty good lists, and we've been taking them through to our team, and then the team, our development teams can work on those improvements as well. So we have had a couple post-release improvements for Cardiff, but I would expect over the next month or so, there's probably going to be another couple patches which include more post-release updates for things like Cardiff, for things like Zwolle, for things like Mildmay. So expect more fixes soon. In terms of the specific issue with the 153 where the sound drops off, I'm not personally sure if we've got this one ticketed, but I can keep a note of it and check our issues list tomorrow. But it's likely, if you've been able to flag it to us on our feedback threads, it's likely that we've got a mention of it. And if we've got a mention of it, we've probably ticketed it. But if you haven't mentioned it anywhere in community spaces, feel free to check out the feedback threads on our forums. We have each of these for our new releases. Or otherwise, just you can join us in the community spaces as well, and just let us know. But I'll leave a link to our feedback forms because they are a really useful spot for us to hear directly from you. So there is a link in the chat. And Martin Daniels, you asked about Mildmay performance issues. So this was something that Johannes actually had a little line on. It's one of the top priorities for the route. Performance is a key one, as well as the some of the texture blurriness. I'm just going to find the quote. But yeah, of course, obviously he's working towards the free Richmond extension, which is great news. But at the moment, he's actively investigating passenger spawning issues, blurry textures, and of course, performance and optimization where he can, as a top priority for an upcoming update. And again, we'll confirm when that comes. And I see a couple of people congratulating Casual there. Yeah, we've had some fantastic new ambassadors join our program recently, and it's a really wonderful group of people we have that help us make fantastic ranges of train sim content, and we're able to create loads of videos for everyone, and it's a wonderful group. And the best part is recently we've been able to enroll more people that were specifically focused around the Zwolle release as well. And we've seen a lot more Dutch players get involved in some of the streams as well. It's really fantastic. Contact Alex on the forums. Is this about a name change? Oh, it's how do you become an ambassador for Train Sim World? Good question. It involves a couple things. It does involve a certain amount of following, a certain amount of viewership. We don't have infinite slots on our ambassador program. We have to have a cap of it. So we have a specific number of people we can support. And so with that naturally comes like we're expecting a minimum of a certain amount of viewership. And that does vary. It depends what your content is and depends what you're doing, and it depends on the platform. It depends the frequency on your uploading. But what I would say is, and what I think a lot of our current ambassadors do is generally they make really good tutorials and really in-depth tutorials on the new content and guides on some of the new content to Train Sim World. And then they generally just also make gameplay on some of the new content and have a lot of fun. And they're really good at being a balance, but we have quite a big pool of ambassadors that do quite a lot of different things. Some stream, some make videos, some make guides. If you're interested in becoming an ambassador, I would focus on developing your own content first. And growing your own following. If you feel like you're already at a point where you're happy with your following and where your content's at, you can reach out to us on the forums. You can reach out to us on the Discord, and we can then consider you for the program. There's a little bit of a potentials waiting list that we work through, but that's the process. Let's see. A couple of questions of the Railtour stream. We've not confirmed, Nigel. We've not confirmed whether it will be tomorrow, but we'll look to confirm that ASAP because I know a lot of people were interested in seeing it. Again, unfortunately, we had to postpone it a bit last minute, so we apologize for that change of plans. But we'll let you know. We'll hopefully let you know what's happening with that by tomorrow, I would think, in our announcements. But you'll just have to follow it and see. But of course, with the release this week on Thursday, ideally we show it ASAP. Really, so we'll keep you updated. I'm looking for a couple more questions just to answer, but we'll probably go for about another few minutes.
Someone asked earlier on about what is blurriness. So we've discussed this a number of times in the past, but just for those that haven't caught those dissertations, the blurriness is essentially there's a section of memory set aside for something called a texture pool, and if you when you start loading textures, it goes into that texture pool. If that texture pool gets close to filling up or does fill up, what it does is it scales the textures back effectively to half their size, so that it makes room for more textures to go in as needed. by scaling a texture back to half its size, but taking up the same amount of space, it gets a bit blurry. So that's kind of what it means is it's what we call texture pool exhaustion. And broadly, it's an out of memory issue. It's another version of out of memory. It's just a version that doesn't crash the game because it's got ways of shrinking things down to make them fit. So yeah, it's that's broadly what the blurry is, and that's one of the areas we're looking at for that.
Thank you, Matt. I think Wentworth, it's great to see that you're really thankful for the long distance station on Frankfurt S-bahn. It's really good. It was definitely something that came a lot. It was influenced a lot by community feedback too, which is really fantastic to see. And again, we're really looking to try and make those wins for the community where we can. It's also great to see that again with the Richmond extension from Johannes, it's another win that came kind of in part from community feedback too. A few more questions here. Someone asked about the DB red. I think this was Lord Vulture. The DB red would be wrong for the United 4 pack for the left Rhine. So does that mean a repaint is coming? I'm unsure. So it might be a question I can try and pass to the TSG team to check. But I'm unsure on that as I don't have any notes for it. There was a question earlier actually about how did we meet the TSG team, and well, we work with Lucas quite closely, so that would be fun.
We've worked with Mike Goltz as well. I mean, TSG was originally Mike Goltz, and it's expanded over time. I've personally worked with Mike Goltz since the first day, almost the first day of joining Dovetail Games, when it was Virtual Railroads. It was him and another person that ran Virtual Railroads and did Train Sim Classic add-ons. And the very first project that I worked on when I joined the company as head of third party was publishing the BR143 for Train Sim Classic, which was one of the I think it was an expert line product that Virtual Railroads did. So I've worked with Mike for a long time, and then later on Lucas was involved doing stuff for TS Classic, and obviously now works for Dovetail Games, and also does his own projects. And there's the TSG team has kind of grown. They're an amazing group of people that work really hard, know this stuff really well, and work brilliantly together. So it's kind of there's lots of this hive of activity going on there.
Mr. Trainman Studios, you've just pinged me. Do you have contact traits? What? Tell you what, throw me a DM. If you're in any of our Discord spaces or if you're on the forums, throw me a DM. I'll try and I'll make a note to try and check for it tomorrow. And it might be something I can put you on for our potential list. There was another question about why don't we rotate ambassadors annually. It's because we have it's a really fantastic program where it's quite an intimate connection with our ambassadors in that we work really closely with the people and we talk with everyone involved, and it's a really lovely relationship where we work really closely. We support our ambassadors, they support us massively. We try and get their tutorials shared where we can. We try and share them in our FAQs and our guides. And it's a really great kind of two-way relationship, and it's not something you want to just kind of be like, oh, end of your year, bye. It's something you want to keep and grow and kind of maintain as long as you can. And again, we have a fantastic range of ambassadors, so it's really great to maintain that. I did just a couple random ones before we end up because it's a bit of April Fool's. Someone asked, is this a wine glass? It's just a beer glass, but it's full of water. It's technically an old moot cider glass, which you can't really read. But it's just full of water. I'm not drinking on the roadmap stream. And then did we plan on making Train Sim World 5 t-shirts? No, they just spawned. We made the game and they just kept coming to us. None of us in the company wanted them, but we just kept getting them delivered. Matt's wearing one because it's the only clothes he has left. Mine is still filling up the other room. They just keep coming to us. Of course, we made the t-shirts. So with that said, I think we'll wrap up. I know there are a few more questions, but I think some of them we've answered a couple times. So feel free to rewatch the stream. And otherwise, if you have a question that you do want to ask, I'll have the feedback thread. I keep saying feedback thread. The roadmap thread. The Q&A thread it will still be live until tomorrow. And so what I'm going to do is link it in the chat now. Anything else, feel free to throw in this thread here, and that way I can try and give you an answer in written form as well. So That's the April Fool's roadmap. It's been a full day of fun and internationally really exciting announcements, and I hope you've enjoyed it. When is the next stream? So East Coast Mainline preview, the Diesel Rail Tour preview. We'll let you know when that is. As of right now, the only next stream we have kind of planned, I suppose, would be the next roadmap. But of course, there may be streams before then, and I think there may be some fun community streams with myself and maybe Harry and the team will do throughout April too. So we'll let you know. We'll let you know on our RFTV posts, and then we have it. So that's the roadmap. Matt, you've been an absolute joy to join me again for another roadmap stream. Thank you for answering loads of questions too.
Thanks for having me, Alex.
In that case, everyone, I hope you had a great April Fools, but that's been the real April roadmap. And again, if you want to check out some of the fun we had, I'll quickly show some of the images we had earlier today. Look at this wonderful livery designer made roadmap graphic. It took me about an hour or so. Of course, railway replacement mode, the bus replacement. Of course, it's a new core feature coming, definitely a real update. As well as we had the pink 430, which we were able to share ahead of time.
Why is that not a real train?
I don't know if you've read the
That's
copy.
amazing. I did read the copy. It's brilliant, but you know, I think I need to push harder on this whole forcing everything to be pink and make it not a joke because that looks superb.
And of course, the root collectibles being mandatory was a good gag. So, all right, everyone, we'll see you in the next stream, and we'll announce when that is. But keep an eye on our news when it comes. Have a good evening. Goodbye.
Bye, everyone.